Hello, we're in Colebrookdale Township in Berks County, Pennsylvania, on a site during the infancy of a restoration project of an important Germanic log structure that's sitting right here next to me. It's been sitting next to me for only a few hours, but it's actually been sitting on this site since approximately the 1740s, according to local historians. We'll be able to define that and refine that information as we learn more and more about the building. But why are we here? From what I've heard as a building contractor, while listening to the history in the area, German settlers came here during the Reformation in the early 18th century from the Palatinate, and in this case from Württemberg, through Philadelphia, welcomed by William Penn in order to make a new settlement in an area that was tolerant of religious diversity. So these people were most likely German, Lutheran, Protestants, or another sect yet to be discovered, and they settled on this site as homesteaders and farmers. The first house that they built, apparently, based on what we've seen so far, is an approximately 28-foot by 23.5-foot, 1 1/2 story log structure. Log in part. Log held together with 7 by 9-inch corner posts and a steeply pitched roof, divided into 3 spaces: the kitchen, or kirke, the stove room, or stoop, and the bedroom, or kammer, as the Germanic nomenclature will have us describe them. Overall, this structure stood here for perhaps 1 generation at most, before it was heightened with 4 logs, which we'll show you later. 4 logs which made the structure a 2-story structure, utilizing the same rafters. In those 2 periods, changes were made, some of which we've discovered, and some which I'm sure we will discover. Of course, there may be some that we won't. Subsequently, a stone structure built to the right, which is approximately 16.5 feet by 20 feet, also built as a 2-story structure, whereas this log structure was built as a single story and a half and then made into 2. That was immediately built as a stone structure, 2 stories, somewhere before the year 1780, to our best guess at this point. In the rear of the building is a 1 1/2 story summer kitchen, a building that was made for mostly cooking chores that they wanted to remove from the interior of the building. So when you go inside, you're going to see a large cooking fireplace that might be 12 feet wide, which served the first generation, and possibly the second generation. The rear wing probably served a 3rd generation, still cooking on an open fire with not as wide a firebox as the 12-foot wide one. We'll dimension that later. Our client, John and Cheryl Crozier, have decided to proceed with a very worthy project to make this their residence. So going forward, we're going to have the complexity of discovering what the structures were at various times, developing an historical interpretation of these structures, and then helping them accommodate and outfit the buildings for modern living. I think we can meet the challenge, but it's going to take a team of very skilled craftsmen, masons, carpenters, plasterers, and of course the building trades of plumbing and electric as well. So enough for now, and we'll go inside a little later. Maybe we'll even take a walk around the outside of the house and see some other features and meet some of the men who are in this early stage of the restoration, spending several weeks so far getting us to the point where we were. We were very happy to find that this walk-in fireplace was mostly intact. It has certainly been affected by later improvements, but basically it starts out as a 12-foot wide fireplace mass, a walk-in fireplace as it's generally referred to. And so it's 12 feet wide from corner to corner with approximately 24-inch stone jambs laid up in fieldstone pointed and then whitewashed over the years, with a large lintel that supports the weight above it. But what we see right now is a penetration through the lintel and then the back wall, which we will have to mend. The fireplace hearth survives in part in this little corner. The hearth is made of flat field stones laid in mortar and probably extended just to here, right to the edge of the jamb. Right to the left of the jamb, we're happy to find the original door to the basement. It's got 3 boards, which are molded, tongue and groove boards with tapered battens, wrought iron strap hinges, and its original wrought iron door latch. And that's a very special find. It's intact and dates from the first period.
Foam covers to throw pillows. There's something for everyone. Choose your gift and then customize them.
All this stuff right here is encasing. It was encasing this original. This is the original header for the windowsill, and this is the this is the original molding, but it was covered with stuff they put in the 60s or 70s, something like that. So they made the whole window opening smaller than it originally was. That's how they packed all this stuff out. All of these original windows were wider than the windows they had in there. So if you stick your head out here, you can see you have really nice stone here, all around. But they filled in, when they made the windows smaller, they filled it in with these sort of concrete cement blocks here. And I'm removing all those because we're restoring the windows to their original size. We're putting in the size windows that would have been there. So. That's what we're doing.
This door was found in the attic. It's the upper part of a Dutch door. It's got 4 raised panels, and on the back it has slide bolts. A slide bolt, nicely tooled wrought slide bolt, and a latch with a lifter bar. But there's a corresponding offset at the top of this door, which corresponds to an offset in the bottom of that door. Both doors are the same thickness, both doors have traces of the same color, both doors are the same width. So we believe this is a pair. And the question is, did they rest here or there? And it's a little too early. We haven't actually gone through the exercise of matching them to the openings. We have to see if these knuckles on the strap hinges match up with pintle marks in this post. And if these slide bolts match up with those keeper marks there. Most likely, we're going to find more evidence than we have right now. But whether that evidence will lead us to these being the doors in period 1 or these being the doors in period 2. So on a recent discovery last week, the window stool, some people call it a sill, the window stool became apparent, indicating the width of an original window opening, together with most of a wall box or cupboard having its base, its right side molding, shadow lines of earlier hinges, and a paint history inside of various blues and reds and whitewash. Recent visitors went to the smokehouse and presented to us the 4-panel door that fit perfectly here. Now John, the owner, took it home for safekeeping, but perhaps on your next visit we'll have it here. It fit perfectly, and of course there is the upper miter, which relates to the top header casing, and that door was framed perfectly by it. So here you have in tangent a cupboard and a window. And some of the local German architectural experts said that it was not uncommon, if not rare. And in this very special corner of the house, the room that they call the stoop, or stove room, where most of the life took place, you might have these features. Sometimes a shelf, and sometimes a cupboard, sometimes both. But we were very excited to find that.
The siding was taken off of this elevation, the wide boards, which was the second period. Attached to that siding was the lath that this plaster, making up the back of the cupboard from the inside, was attached to. It's all second or third period. It's the same nails that are used in the later layers of plaster on the inside. With the siding off, it revealed the shadow line of the earliest window on this opening, which was bordered by these two posts, which made up the jamb of it, and this light header. On these two posts are distinctive pintle holes on either side, a pair of them, that would indicate a pair of shutters or possibly even a set of window casements, window sashes. There also could have been alternately window sashes that were operated from the inside on these same jambs, and that these were the shutters to it. And it could have been two sash with a division mullion between the two.
So this is what we found yesterday when we removed the German siding from up there. We uncovered this door here, which is unusual for this kind of building. We're not sure exactly, well, we're removing the plaster inside because right now on the inside it's been plastered over and lathed over, and so we're gonna, like I said, clean it up on the inside and see what we can figure out. You know what it is? Could it be a newel post? This there. There we go.
What we have on this post is it appears to be a corner of a porch, or somewhere where you had a railing going into the mortise at the bottom, the mortise right here at the bottom, at the top of the block, and
then another railing coming in right here. So the railings would extend out in this direction like this, and then back like that. So this was a corner. We don't know where on this house this is from, do we?
yeah, we do have that unexplained door in the log section.
All the handmade stuff there, right, Leslie?
Yeah.
The lath is cut and the...
With a circular saw. Is a circular saw.
Okay. And then these are...
Cut
the
nails.
Machine nails.
And then the last on with machine nails.
Like a Tremont, they use the regular... Okay. So that's like, what,
Well,
1850?
it could even be a Tremont nail.
So remember, the building was elevated in a second period, and it was sheathed on both gables with random width boards. the backs of which are also interesting in that they still retain early, if not original, battens fastened with wrought nails, similar to the nails in this floor. But we all thought it was quite curious to see this made-to-order, workmanlike hinge system on a door that opens into the attic of the stone wing, the two-story stone wing to the left of the building. So the feeling right now is that the building stood as a two-story structure for a while, and it had gables boarded and battened. And then when the addition was added, when the addition was built next to it, there was an interest in communicating between both attics. So someone hewed a stile, whittled it into a round, had someone fabricate a wrought iron strap fastened with wrought nails into this collar tie, and took some recycled gable boards, and they made a rather rudimentary but quite charming little door. When we were outside, we were noticing that the front elevation of the plank and post log house was out of plumb, and it was leaning forward. As one climbs up the elevation to the rafter plate, we are approximately 6 inches out of plumb. And this is where it all starts. It starts up here in the attic, and some of us think that this is the reason why it is out of plumb. Remember I said that these are original rafters from a lower roof system. They had collar ties that went in mortises such as these, and they stretched across to the partner rafter, and they were pinned with pegs. That would have kept the rafters from splaying outward under its own pressure or the pressure of snow loads on the roof. When the people had changed this house from a 1.5 stories to a 2-story, and when they recycled these, they chose not to put the collar ties back. They may have realized that those collar ties at this point would have precluded them from standing up in the attic. They may have just taken a calculated risk that the rafter system would behave properly without the strength of the collar ties keeping them from spreading. Well, that wasn't the case. In fact, the collar ties might have been a good idea. So what's happened is the pressure of the roof system pushing down on the rafter plate has pushed the plate out beyond the face of the house by that approximately 6 inches. As restoration contractors, our challenge is to reverse that condition as sensitively as possible without doing any harm to the building. We are going to have to devise a way, approved by our architect Dale Friends and our structural engineer John Ruff, in order to move the building closer to its original format. We'll probably do that with come-alongs and cables and jacks, and we'll most likely start on that right after Christmas.
I'd have, if I wore any gloves, they'd be like this, and I'd start off like with what you have on.
Honey, no. Kitchen cabinet, what we had in the last place. Okay. Right down yeah. What we do on. Very nice.
Is that good?
I can get that nail out.
Alright.
Wait, Brom, careful. You have a check on. It goes from. It's right here.
right now, these floor joists, they have a tenon that goes into a mortise into the summer beam. And right now, these floor joists are pulled out of the mortises in the summer beam. So when we suck the house in, we want to be able to see that the floor joists are going back into the mortises where they're supposed to be in the summer beam. So we need access. We need to be able to see how they're moving and if there's any obstruction, which would prevent us from getting everything back to where we want it to be. Also, the floorboards would prevent the because they're nailed to these floor joists. We need them to be free of the summer beam and the floor joists because they would resist us. They would resist the whole building being pulled back in together. So that's why we want access to this. We want to be able to see it from the top and the bottom and the sides to make sure that the mortises are that the floor joists are actually going back to where they're supposed to be. And once they're there, we can fasten them from the top to help keep everything in place.
We should label that.
You almost doing here, buddy? Here, so 11. There. Have that. This one. Like this here, Chris?
Yeah.
So now I don't think it'll...
So we can't very easily take off that bottom one there, because this is going to get sucked in. We're going to have to modify that floorboard in order to get it
Back in?
back in, potentially. I mean, these joists want to go that way.
Yeah.
So that means that everywhere along this wall where the plaster's holding it in place, we've got to free that up there too.
Hey, Chris!
Yes!
You want to get down there and we'll pop this one up?
Okay!
That even have a coming through joint?
Yeah.
This thing is a monster, Chris.
Yeah.
16 and 3/4 wide, and then
1/4 thick.
yeah, these are inch and a half.
Forestry Research Center in New Hampshire, and he started out.
That one's in as far as it's gonna go.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm making too much noise. Sorry, Seth.
4 9/16. Here we're at 4 9/16. All this weight is sitting on that post, which is, I think, making this harder to pull in. So the reason that we have the jacks where we have them is we're trying to catch, this here and catch it here and catch it there and catch it there. and lift this whole mass off a little bit so that then there's less tension on this and we can pull it in. Oh yeah.
Hand me the mount.
We have an inch to go. And we're there.
We've been doing a series of jacking and pulling on the exterior walls here. That corner over there had to be elevated and also was bringing up this whole panel of logs. So the plaster that was on here was impeding that. So we stripped a lot of that off. It was of a late period circular saw. And once we pulled that off, it revealed underneath it an earlier window. Is evident of the type of window that would have been in the log structure early on, I guess in the second period when the logs were put on. But it's a simple 4-light window which retains part of its stool, the header, and one jamb. And there's evidence on the header of the position, location of the other jamb. Original stop on it with a molded edge on the front, put in with rosehead nails. And it more than likely either was a fixed 4-light that was taken out, or it may have even had a hinge on it, as opposed to a hung window that operated up and down. And it would have then to a point where it clears the floor, swinging in. I don't know if Digital working on that proposal.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why Wesley didn't call.
Yeah.
That on Monday, prior to the surgery, he was going to pull something on the doctor.
There. So, but
And then what was the idea with the plate? We had discussed something about that too. Maybe we could put a wide plate in?
yeah.
Yeah. So the 8 is...
Out of curiosity, why don't we have any power?
Huh?
Why don't we have any power?
I don't know, why don't I just string a wire across the other side? And just dangle it down here and there, you know? It's nice to have.
well, yeah, again, at least try and get these two.
Yeah. And 23 by 38 and a half rough here, right? 23 rough opening.
I think so. It's 2/4, so that's 20 inches is the size of the sash, plus an inch on either side, and 1.5 inch.
Okay. Cool. And what we were doing is we were just going from the taking what I did. I found my center point, which is between here and here.
Right.
And then I'm just gonna go out 11 and a half, and then I'm not gonna put anything because this is already at 38 and a half right now. From here, it looks fine. You know,
Yes.
and this partition's staying, so
Okay, so
yeah. you're never gonna know. I mean, we want these to be roughly close, but I think they are.
The only place you're gonna see it's on the outside, the siding, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
Alright, sweet.
There, we had
Eyeballs. Ah! Turn that light off. Here you go.
Yeah.
The measurement off that line down here still.
I'm not even seeing the line.
In this next stage of the preservation of the house, we've discovered the original scalloped rafter tails on the stone wing and on the log wing. They're scalloped out of the ends of the oak rafters, and that happens because they wish to control the exposure to the elements. If one left the original rafter tail in its full dimension, it would probably be exposed to the elements to the point where it would deteriorate prematurely. So they give a plumb cut or a level cut, sometimes a scallop on the bottom. So it's not purely decorative, it really has a function to add to the longevity of the element. Here we found original ones in their full length of approximately 11 inches off of the building. In the front of both buildings, they were severed. They were severed almost flush with the building. So when you go to the front of the building, you'll see a reconstituted or reproduction oak scalloped rafter tail underneath the barge, underneath the starter board on the front of the eave of the north-facing roof.